Thank you, Chair. Earlier testimony, you had mentioned that Russia is not much of a military threat as other actors. Aside from China, who are those other actors?
Thank you for the question. Unfortunately, I'm not able to get into specifics. I don't want to leave the impression that Russia's not a threat. I would just say that it's more the concern with Russia is more from a military perspective than it is from an economic one.
Drawing on my recent visit to Greenland and many conversations I had with Arctic partners, and also I was by the Joint Arctic Command Center, I'm curious, is CSIS concerned and aware about the messaging that working with authoritarian regimes like China, the UAE, Qatar sends to our security partners, particularly our Five Eyes allies, and how that perception could affect intelligence sharing, trust, and that of cooperation?
So thank you for the question. We work very closely with a number of international partners. We have robust information sharing policies that respect all of our international obligations. And so I would say from an intelligence perspective, our focus still remains on threats to the security of Canada, and this is how we engage other partners. And we have not run into any issues or concerns in terms of those engagements with our foreign allies on any of our intelligence matters.
Thank you. Is Canada's Arctic early warning systems fully modernized?
I'm sorry, I don't believe I'm the best placed person to answer that question.
Okay. And do you believe Canada's current Arctic strategy achieves deterrence of Chinese and Russian ambitions?
So from a CSIS perspective, again, I would say all of our activities are completely aligned with the Arctic foreign policy and our Arctic strategy. As per the intentions and the effect of the Arctic strategy, I don't believe that CSIS is the best place to be able to answer that question.
Okay. Was CSIS at all consulted specifically on the security risks of closer economic integration with the authoritarian regimes prior to any agreements made with China?
So one of CSIS's roles is to provide security advice to government, and so it would be natural to do so. I'm not informed on that specific question, so I'm unable to give you a proper informed response.
Okay, thank you. Is there a danger of authoritarian regimes like China using current public sentiment toward the trade dispute with the United States to whitewash their public image?
So I would just encourage the member to kind of focus your questions to the Arctic because broader trade relations and the public image of a particular country is not what we're looking at today. So
okay.
let's get
I was drawing
I gave
into
you
the
some
economic
leeway.
security.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Could you please speak to the actions that you think the Canadian government or CSIS thinks that the Canadian government can do specifically to protect our economic sovereignty in the North?
So thank you for the question. What CSIS's contribution to this, as I mentioned before, is that we investigate threats to the security of Canada, espionage, sabotage, foreign interference. We take the findings from those investigations and provide that information to government, but also territorial governments, municipal governments now, and local partners. And so what CSIS is doing to protect and contribute to the sovereignty is exactly that, is the resiliency, is sharing this information more widely than we've done in the past, and building and fostering that trust and helping build resiliency in the Arctic communities.
So are there any further additional protections, plans, processes that are currently in place to mitigate any threats that closer economic integration with China may present?
Well, CSIS will continue to investigate these threats where they surface. Part of our act allows us to undertake threat reduction activities and mitigate the threats where appropriate and where possible, and the service will continue to do so. We'll continue to share the information on these threats with local communities and territorial governments, which will help contribute to mitigating the threat.
So in earlier testimony, you spoke about IP theft. There was questions about economic espionage, infiltration by agents of governments and commercial institutions. Can you speak further to that? And how does Beijing and Moscow pose these threats to Canada outside of straight military threats? Can you expand on that?
Yes, thank you for the question. So it's multifaceted. They pose these threats through a number of ways. And so foreign interference is a good example. It's an attempt to, could be manipulating public opinion, manipulating people who aspire to higher office through coercion as well, too, through covert financing. From an economic security perspective, it's also investing using proxies or using disinformation or economic coercion. And so as long as there's a clandestine and deceptive nature to it, it would trigger under our mandate and allow us to investigate.
Thank you very much.